The latest swing state polls show an extremely tight race between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. According to the Real Clear Politics average, a virtual tie now in place in Pennsylvania. Clinton up there by approximately 3 points in Florida and Ohio. In Virginia, Clinton leading by only 4. Joining us now, former Reagan White House political director, Great America strategist Ed Rollins, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist, New York Post, Michael Goodwin, both Fox News contributors, and great to have you here.
Thank you.
Another sell-off. Also, as we look at the couple of the national polls, you can take your pick. Hillary Clinton up by 5 or up by 12. What's your pick?
My pick is somewhere in between. I think the race is probably, I mean, obviously Trump is trailing in most of the national polls, very close in these state polls. The interesting thing is he's not running a real campaign yet. He's not in with media or any of the rest of it. She's going full bore and has been up for a period of time. It's going to be a very close race. And I think what you need to look at national polls is not the blowout that you see in the Washington Post poll, but you want to see.
Oh, come on. In the Washington Post poll, let's talk about that. I mean, Jeff Bezos, I mean, he's sprinkling at least a half dozen anti-Trump stories every day on their homepage or their front page. What's the deal?
Well, I have no idea what his motivation is other than to try and defeat Donald Trump. But the truth of the matter is the poll underestimates the number of Republicans. It has like 24% Republicans and over 30% Democrats. So that's,
what do you make of
the
it, Michael?
difference.
Well, first of the Washington Post, I think it's more likely the editor, who is Martin Barron, who used to be the editor of the Boston Globe, very far leftist. And the piling on.
Who does he work for?
He's the editor of the Washington Post now.
No, I say, who does he work for?
Oh, Bezos, yeah. But I suspect that this
Now,
is.
it's been my experience.
Yeah.
That seldom do editors move in directions owners don't at least tacitly approve.
I think there's an approval, but I think these are Barron's instincts. They've always been Barron's instincts. So I mean, I agree with you. I mean, the stories, the columns, they all run together. It's piling on. It's the 300-pound lineman comes diving in after the whistle was blown day after day. New York Times doing the same thing.
They have backed off a bit. I mean, as we're talking about media, they've backed off a little. They were actually acknowledging some positives about the Trump candidacy.
Well, there's some positives.
I missed them. I'm sorry.
Trump said.
I'll send both of them over.
Trump's had a good week. He had a good foreign policy. I mean, had a good speech, and he put his tax themes on her. Obviously, his trip to Scotland, which is a quick trip, but it was a good trip. His comments on Brexit were right on the money, and I think to a certain extent, these are about momentum back and forth, and I'd say today he's got some momentum going for him.
Okay, you got the. I mean, the convention is coming at us rapidly here. What do you think? Trump has said he wants a production. He wants show business. He wants the thing to really be electric. What do you think?
Well, there have also been reports that he is going to be holding rallies and giving speeches in the early nights. So it's a 4-night convention. The nominee speaks in the 4th night. That on the first 2 or 3 nights, he would be elsewhere giving rallies and speeches, I guess competing with the convention coverage. That's never happened to my knowledge. I'm not sure how that would work, whether that would benefit him or not. It would certainly be unique. But look, he's got to pull it off. And as Ed has said repeatedly, you can get a good bump of 5 or 6 points with a really good convention. Of course, the Democrats are going to pull out all the stops, too. And so at the end of that...
And they get the last convention.
Yeah,
so they get the last bump.
That's right. So at the end of that, we'll get a sense of where they really stand going into the final stretch.
To that very point, the critical thing, I think, is for the 2 conventions to come. They're big TV shows, what they've always been, or shrinking TV shows, the reality. It used to be something we all watched from cover to cover, no longer anymore. It's an hour a night mainly. And I think to a certain extent, you got to come out dead even. If it's like 2 or 3, 4 points that Trump's behind at the end of those 2 conventions, he's in this game. If he gets blown out and it's more than that, then I think he's got a long, hard battle ahead. I expect it to be very even. I think by the time you get through the 2 conventions, he'll have his fundraising in play, and obviously it'll be a dead even race the rest of the way.
Well, the one thing I would like to see that I think he should do anyway, Lou, is the 3 key swing states, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Florida. I mean, right there are 67 electoral votes. If he would just focus on them, I think that would keep this race tight all the way to the end if he can succeed there.
Well, following the Goodwin, I guess, stratagem, he's going to be in Pennsylvania talking trade, Ed. He's going to be talking about, in point of fact, labeling China a currency manipulator, which every every administration has declined to do, no matter how they manipulated the yuan or the renminbi. What do you think?
Well, if he holds the Romney states, there's no reason he should lose any of the Romney states. There'll be one or two that'll be contested, but it won't be really. And wins those three that Michael's talking about. That's 276 electoral votes, and that's the win.
Right.
So that's the formula. It's not a magic formula. It's just,
and trade is very big in Pennsylvania and Ohio, especially. I mean, that message is, I believe, targeted to the Rust Belt workers, a lot of people who feel that globalization has not worked for them, just as we saw in the UK.
Yeah, this is shaping up as a battle over the globalists versus the nationalists. Those who, and Trump makes it very clear, he is a free trader. He will engage in trade and trade like the Dickens, but do so smartly. It is a message that is tough to convey, I think, in some ways. An international nationalist, which is what he's really talking about, with balanced, smart, fair trade. But it's essential that it happen, or this economy is going to be a wreck in perpetuity.
We know what we have doesn't work, and I think as I've said on this show before, the whole formula for me is: you want 4 more years of Obama, vote for Hillary. You want change, you want something different, vote for Trump.
Yeah, look, I think on the issue of trade, the idea of America first, putting America first in these agreements.
Doesn't that have a sweet sound to it?
It does.
That's a sweet sound.
Yeah, it scares a lot of people. So, but I think
America first.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Well,
I think it scares a lot of people in the media. I don't think it scares Americans. I think most Americans want to hear exactly that.
I agree with you, but it is a word that for many people, and of course the Clintons will use it in the negative sense. So but I think it speaks to what he's really talking about exactly.
Yeah, I think people can get awful twisted up if they try to put a negative around America when it's attached to first as well. That sounds like a tough chore.
USA, number one.
Amen, brother. Ed Rollins, Michael Goodwin, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Be sure to vote in our poll tonight. Is Elizabeth Warren a hypocrite, in your opinion, for backing Hillary Clinton, who has taken millions of dollars from Wall Street in speaking fees and some campaign donations? It's in the millions, we assure you. Cast your vote on Twitter at Lou Dobbs. Follow me on Twitter at Lou Dobbs. Like me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram at Lou Dobbs Tonight. Links to everything, LouDobbs.com.